Hello, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator, hello, huh, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. Let's do the protection? Why not? So, I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle, I step into it, I feel protected, I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that I create the good and only the good, and so it is. Okay, so today I'm doing something different. I haven't done this before. I realized maybe it's more work than the normal way. But I have already selected all the clips, all the news. I've added everything. I've read over it. You know how sometimes I would go to look at the news? I have already done that. So I'm reading it. And all I'm recording now are the questions related to the materials that I am showing you. Okay, so let's just get started.
So we're looking at the consequences of the meeting. Could have been an email, officials balk at Hagsted's general's meeting. The last minute gathering featured hundreds of senior military officials who swear an oath to the Constitution, attending something more akin to a campaign rally. And so this is just a headline because we have seen plenty of reactions, and I want to share with you a video as well, but that's what we're going to be looking at.
Maybe who are in the room or some who just watched at home. What was the reaction to that spectacle yesterday?
Yeah, Willie, I did talk to a few, many people in that room I've served with. I didn't retire that long ago, so some of those senior members were junior members when I was still in the service. What was interesting is it came about in two parts. First of all, Secretary Hegseth's address. I took notes as he spoke as I was watching it. And just some of the things that I made bullet points about were Liberation Day, kill things and break people, or kill people and break things, excuse me, war crimes, Geneva Convention elimination, rules of engagements are unnecessary, suggesting women can't meet the standards, returning to the days of drill sergeants smoking recruits during basic training, suggesting the elimination of IG actions, especially as he's being investigated for the use of signal apps by those IGs. Hawking his own book at the end, The War on Warriors, I've read, and it's a compilation of thoughts from a disgruntled soldier who has very little understanding of strategic implications of various actions. Then when it turned to the president, you've already addressed this, a meandering, just all sorts of issues, much like the UN speech he gave. So many things to talk about from that speech, but the war from within, as you just mentioned, and putting soldiers on American streets to train how to react to different enemies from within were two of the highlights that I wrote down. And it was just a combination of two things that I believe we're leading to what we might see next. And the other thing I'd say is President Trump thrives on applause and cheering and interactions with an audience. And when he didn't get that and instead got quiet professionalism from the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in the audience, that likely rattled them from the very beginning. And that silence wasn't disrespect. It was restraint and discipline and adherence to the oath of office. Yesterday was, to me, a collective reminder of our professional culture that we have in the military that transcends politics. It was on full display, and it was interesting to watch from both sides of the audience.
So now that we have looked at the interesting videos with General Mark Herdling and also the article about, oh, okay, I'm trying to see here what okay, that's right. And the article about what generals were saying, then we can now look at the questions. Really, we can look at what's going on. What's going on here, huh? No, really, we can look at the questions. So let's go. Let's go. Hey ho, let's go. So what happens next? What will the military do now? What, if anything, can we expect? Are there any plans to stop this administration? And I have to say, give you the caveat that I know that this is a crazy time. And I kind of have to stop myself from being like, you know, oh, is it the time when this and that is going to happen? We just have to see, take it easy, give it to the divine, but we can ask the questions, right? But like I said, not be too, I don't want to be too strict about this or that or when or what. Okay, so given how the military meeting went, what happens next? Meaning between the military and Trump. Okay. Interesting. It feels to me like I'm seeing that, of course, the meeting went terribly. And I'm not talking on this particular video. I'm not discussing the Terrence Goggin article, but in it he said something really interesting. He said, "Have you noticed how there isn't one person willing to go on the record to say that that was a productive meeting? Not one." So that is very telling. And I saw that what's happened is that it's a bit like when if you go on a date with someone and it really does not go well, there's nothing, it's like it's done, there's nothing there. And it just makes no sense to continue something. That's what it feels like, in the sense that there's nothing. They're like speaking completely different languages. And I see the military has no interest in pleasing him in any way. And when he starts giving orders to attack cities and do things like this, they refuse. And he might try to fire a few of them, but somehow they are in a block together. The military is. They stand with each other. Even if there's one or another person who may agree with Trump in some ways, they don't abandon their colleagues because that's what he wants. He wants them to stab each other in the back. That's the whole division, right? Destruction, division, and terror, right? So they have to divide and conquer, but they're not succeeding because the entire military, in some ways, it's about unity. It's like you defend your brothers and you stand up for the other, right? So that's what I see in that. There's just no reaction. They're just don't. It's like they're just not that into you. That's what it was. Okay. So then to the next question. What will the military do now about Trump, essentially? Now, I see that they don't, and it doesn't become public that they refuse the orders. And then he starts pushing more and more and more. And they have information. They know that he's working that are. We're going to talk more about the whole Russia thing, how Trump is now supporting Ukraine. My theory about this is that he's trying to fool people so that he can come back. Does it make sense? I think it's just that he's just trying to like create a momentary distraction. I don't believe it for a second that he actually is on the side of Ukraine, but we'll see. Okay. But anyway, what will the military do now? So I see that they refuse the more radical orders. And as he tries, I see that, by the way, one of the things that Trump has done already with the shutdown of the government, they canceled a lot of anti-terrorism programs here in New York, right? We had 9/11 and everything. So if he truly were a person interested in defending the US, he would never do that. That's a sign of somebody who was a traitor, right? And I see that the military somehow becomes aware of this. Is aware because it's in the news, but they see it from the background, what it's doing, and they know exactly what that means, right? So it's and I see interesting that at some point, it's funny because there's more to come in the course of this video. There are different topics, but I see that so I'm already kind of answering the questions here, and I'm like, okay, this is why I'm not going to do this again because it may be a little bit stiff. But anyway, what I'm understanding here is that as Trump and his Rossvot, whatever his name is, and his people tried to take down the government and make it weaker and weaker, I see that the military sees this as an abandonment of duty. It's like if you were a military officer, you walk out in the middle of a battle or something like that. So they're just like, there's no leadership. We have to do something. We have to establish leadership. And that's what they end up doing. Okay, so that's interesting. So then the next question here, what, if anything, can we expect? Say, take it easy, self-care, because it's everything that we're going to see onwards has never been done and seen from administration or whoever may be looking to take him down. Okay. So expect the unexpected, but self-care. We see. Okay. Are there any plans to stop this administration? It's saying they have been trained for this, especially the very high level officers, which they are. And it will come to that point. It's saying their dereliction of duty, is that right? And I still see that it's the military. It's not going to be Congress because they can't do anything. They won't do anything. They want, like, it's like they're giving up. They want to destroy the America that we know, to create their Christian fascist society, but I don't think they will succeed. No. Okay. All right. So this is this part. Now let's go to the next subjects. Okay. Well, that was interesting, right? Wow.
So this was on the Wall Street Journal yesterday, Wednesday, in the evening. I meant to do a a video yesterday, but long story. I'm doing it in the afternoon of Thursday. So, U.S. to provide Ukraine with intelligence for missile strikes deep inside Russia. The expanded intelligence sharing with Kyiv is the latest sign that President Trump is deepening support for Ukraine as his efforts to advance peace talks have stalled. Okay. All right. So I've highlighted a few passages. President Trump, on the very left here, recently signed off on allowing intelligence agencies and the Pentagon to aid Kyiv with its strikes. U.S. officials are asking North Atlantic Treaty Organization allies to provide similar supports, these people said. The expanded intelligence sharing with Kyiv is the latest sign that Trump is deepening support for Ukraine as his efforts to advance peace talks have stalled. A Ukrainian president, again, here to the very right, Ukrainian President Zelensky revealed last week that he asked Trump for tomahawks. Vice President J.D. Vance said on Sunday on Fox News that the U.S. was considering Ukraine's request. Here it is. The U.S. is also weighing deliveries of tomahawks and barracudas and other American-made ground and air-launched missiles that have ranges around 500 miles, other administration officials said. No decision on what to send, if anything, has been made, the officials said.
Okay, so now let's go to U.S. to provide Ukraine with intelligence for missile strikes deep inside Russia. The expanded intelligence sharing with Kyiv is the latest sign that President Trump is deepening support for Ukraine as his efforts to advance peace talks have stalled. So, what is going on here? Wow, actually, unfortunately, I see Putin laughing, that how do you say this? Okay, Ukraine has been actually very successful. If you watch the war channels related to Ukraine, which I do, you know how they have reached deep inside Russia, attacking all these oil fields, all these military facilities. They've done a lot of harm. And I see that in some ways, this so-called intelligence sharing will alert Russia where Ukraine wants to attack. Kind of, you know what happened? Remember when Starlink was in Ukraine, and then, and I can't believe I'm saying this because the guy's still around. He should have been removed a long time ago, but Elon Musk stopped Starlink from like there was a decisive battle, and they dropped Starlink right in the middle of it. They meaning Elon Musk, right? So somewhat similar, okay, is what I'm getting. But let me ask, is this, because if you think about it, like, does Ukraine really need intelligence? I think they need ways to stop Russia, right? That's not, does it make sense? I don't feel like, is that really effective? Say no. It's a facade, it's saying. It's a way to say that they're doing something when they may not be doing something. So, and I see Zelensky will notice that it's sort of a counterintelligence thing. They will give something, And Zelensky checking with their own information and saying, no, it's not true. That's what I feel like. It's not necessarily correct. That's what I'm getting. And am I biased here? Because it's saying, no, you're realistic. These people have never shown any respect for Ukraine. Why would they change now? Yeah, let me actually ask, why would they change now? What's different? Saying they know that inside the military, there's a lot of resistance to help Russia. So now they have to claim that they are helping Ukraine when they're not. That's what it's saying. It's a facade to kind of like get people off their backs, kind of thing. But still, Trump has made statements that are you could interpret as being anti-Russia. He said that Putin is not doing anything about it. Now we're going to do something. What's going on? He's never been like this. This is new for him. What is going on? Is it really? It's saying that Russia. Okay, interesting. I see Mark Rutte and others kind of showing Trump that Putin is making fun of you. He is not. He tells you one thing, he does another. Is that something you want? So they're playing with his ego. Doesn't make sense, but I feel like sooner or later he will revert back. That's what I feel like. All right, now next question related to this. Is this going to cause harm to Ukraine? So, they're too smart at this point. They're like us. They don't quite believe it. All right. They think, oh, it's nice, but that's not really true. Okay. Now, another part of this is that let's see, actually. Okay, so US is also weighing deliveries of Tomahawks and Barracudas and other American-made ground and air-launched missiles. Are they going to deliver? Say no. Or they will say and they won't come through, it will be canceled. Okay. But I feel like NATO is going to step up finally. That's what I feel like. Okay. All right, the end of this day. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. All right, let's see.
And France detains Russian Shadow Fleet tanker suspected in drone attack. President Macron said authorities are investigating incursions into Danish airspace that rattled NATO allies. And the caption here on the photo, French soldiers aboard the tanker Barricade on Wednesday off the coast of the Western France. We should have the Western France. I also just highlighted here one thing. To explain what is Shadow Fleet. It's these ships that Russians use that are sort of have like undefined ownership. And so here, these vessels aren't insured by companies from Western countries or their allies, which are forbidden from covering vessels that ship Russian oil products above price caps set by the sanctions. Okay, so it's all very murky, and they have been using these types of ships. Okay, and we're going to look into it.
So what's going on with France detaining the Russian Shadow Fleet tanker? Is that going to go anywhere? Because that's nice and all, but are they going to actually do something about it? Or are they just, yes, it's saying they know that it came from there. What's going to happen next? What are they waiting for? How are they going to? I see, interesting. It shows me another issue with an airplane, and this one may be shut down. At Poland, it's another country. Could it be Lithuania? There's another country they're going to fly over, and this time they will be shot down. It's interesting. It shows me the 8th. Could be the 8th of October. I don't know. It's saying soon because they will not stop. And this will happen. Okay. And it's interesting because I see something related to Elon Musk. I wonder, wow. Wow, that's interesting. There's something connected to some sort of Elon Musk company there in Europe. They may shut down a place and they will find that it's connected to that. And it will lead to the still go back to the election stuff that happened here. So there's more, and they will, I see France, it is telling me France will find more evidence of the coordination between Elon Musk, his companies, and Russia, and they will make it public. Wow. So it's going to heat up, it's saying. And then what I'm getting, which is really interesting, is that I see, remember the Scooby-Doo of like when you take off the mask, whatever that is, the hood, you see who they really are. So we are moving towards a time of revelation, everything being revealed, all their connections, all the things that they have been able to hide up to this point, it will be unmasked. Okay. So that's really interesting actually. So all right, so let's go to the next. So what is going on regarding NATO and Russia at this very moment? I see Russia trying to pull cables and using drones, and then I see a big hand, huge hands grabbing theirs. So, and the European hands are bigger. So they might be finally, maybe finally grabbing them at once for good. And when they grab them, it will be like a grip, tight grip. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So let's go to the next. Okay.
And here, Supreme Court blocks Trump from immediately firing Fed's Lisa Cook. Justices defer decision on president's bid to sack central banker until January 2026. That's from the Financial Times. And I remember looking into it and seeing that she would stay. So it's not the final decision because the decision will be made on January 2026. But that's the issue that we're going to look at now.
Okay, so Supreme Court blocks Trump from immediately firing Fed's Lisa Cook. So I'd looked into this at the time and I did see that she would be okay. But now there's the date here. Justices defer decision on president's bid to sack central banker until January 2026. So what is going to be the final outcome in January? I see, interesting, I see actually the face of Gorsuch being like this and saying this, there's no more case. And I see how she's happy, but I feel like Trump is not there anymore. So, so, but that's what I see. Okay. All right.
Now, the government shutdown continues. U.S. government remains shut as senators fail to agree on funding plan. Fresh vote on deal to end impasse fails as Republicans and Democrats trade blame over shutdown. So this was, I took this screenshot yesterday, which was October 1st. And I wanted to also bring up this article because we're going to look into this together. And it's interesting to see what is happening, right? We know that they have said, in fact, that they want to mass fire people, and we'll see. There's a lot that there. So it has impacted already New York. And I don't want anybody to be scared. I know it's a really difficult time when you read the news and we see the things that they are in fact doing. It's not that we're going to deny it, but we're going to observe it with some detachment, and we're going to project the light. That's what I'm doing whenever I read news that I find it makes me really angry and upsetting. I project the light onto it, and it somehow feels like it diminishes their power. Okay, because it's clear, their goals are clear. But I just wanted to show you that if it were true that in fact they were all about defending the country, they would not be cutting essentially what is defense, anti-terrorism and such. Okay, anti-terrorism defense. It's almost like Trump is working to weaken the US. I mean, this is very obvious, right? So, okay. So, but we're going to look into that. And let's go to the next.
Okay, so we saw what they're doing regarding New York, right? They were in the midst of this shutdown. But that's their goal, right? This has been their goal all along. So my question is, what are they actually going to do? right? What will they get away with? And how far will they go? So here my text is, Russ Vought is a creep who has stated he wants to fire a lot of workers. What will be, there's words missing here. What will actually happen during this shutdown? Yeah, I see that he has all these scissors to cut. But then his hands, wow, somebody grabs his hands and he's handcuffed? Okay. So it tells me, it goes back to the military that you saw, that it's an abandonment of duty. They want to handicap the entire government. There's no order. And I see the military having to come in because there's no real president, in the sense that Trump gets more and more manic. They try all these things, it doesn't work. And then what they move to do is to destroy the governments. And I see that they try to get more Russians in or something, but it doesn't work. So I see then, wow, interesting that Russ, well, is like, he's trying to, he's in somewhere where it feels like he's locked in for some reason. I don't know why. But then, so how many, they had plans to do a lot more, but they're not able to. That's what I get. And how much longer is this going to last? So today is October 2nd. Let's go look at Halloween. Okay, because I think it was pretty long, the last one, the last shutdown that happened in 2018. Let's see. So 12 days. Is it really? It doesn't, I feel like it does not go. Okay, what I picked up was 12 days, but for some reason I feel like it will be longer. But I think Trump could be shutting himself down as well. That wasn't the initial plan, but that's what I feel like could really happen. Okay, so that's interesting. I find interesting. I find interesting. No, I do. Very good. Okay, so guys, next you're gonna see that there's a video about I explained the app I use, the Brainwave app, and then the drink I talked about, one day mate drink. Okay, you can scroll down to the end of the video. All right. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye bye.
Okay, so this is the Brainwave app I use the most. I made a screen recording from my phone, and I just wanted to show you what it is and how I use it. Okay, so I'm just gonna play it. Okay, so that's the app on my phone. It's called Brainwave. Let me just go back here quickly. Let's see. It's just called Brainwave. So when you open the app, it does have this sort of like old-fashioned looking UI, but it has a lot of different options. The one I use the most is called Theta Meditation. There's no particular reason really for this. I just like the way, I don't know, it sounds or something. And unfortunately, I can't share the audio because it literally is just like that. There's no music. And here on top, you could actually choose music like ocean. I have here selected beach stuff, but I don't, just because when I use this app, it's the background app. So I put this on a lot of times when I'm meditating, praying, or something like that. And also, if I'm listening to some sort of affirmation, I put this one in the background and then I play the other one. But that's too complicated. I'm just wanted to show you here how you use it. And here, okay. So I know I make it sometimes complicated. So at the bottom, you have this like a little button here that will show you what it is, and it explains what it is. This one's a simple mid tap that wave to center the mind. So there's all the explanations of what each one does. Okay. Okay, and then you could choose different ones. You see, like there's all kinds of different options. And then you could, and like I said, here, if you click on this button here, it will open up the explanation and that's it. Okay, so You have many different options. And like I said, the one I use the most is the tether meditation. And then I highlighted in red this part where this is where you press play, and here are the different timing options. Okay. I just recommend it because it's so flexible and it really, it just gives you many options. And like I said, the reason why I picked it, it's because it's completely neutral. There's no like sound of any kind, because for me, even anything that sounds like um anything that sounds remotely like music or something, it really, oh, hold on, it like it doesn't work for me. Okay, so that's that. And this is the drink I talked about. Some of you had left comments that he wanted to find out what it was. So that's the one I ordered from Amazon. It's called Yerba Mate Brand Wisdom of the Ancients. It's just a powdered tea, like an iced tea type of thing. The one I picked has no sugar whatsoever. I think you can probably find the ones with sugar or with some sort of sweetener. I just have this one. And like I said, it's sort of like connected to this stuff that I used to drink when I lived in Rio, in Brazil, when I was growing up. I think it's a bit of an acquired taste because it's a little bitter. So that's it. Okay, so that's the brand, and I'll leave the link below.